Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Here's why XRP to $20, $50 and $100 might be unrealistic targets. Okay guys, let's get into it. Okay guys, so I saw this and I thought I'd cover it because I just found it quite interesting and I thought it'd be a good point of discussion, especially with where we are in the current market cycle. And so I wanted to really get into this. So look, the first thing I thought of when I saw this was what's the time frame we're talking, right? Because, you know, when we look at like $20, for example, if we're talking this, if we're talking this market cycle, I think $20 is possible. Like, and look, there's a big difference between saying it's going to happen and what's possible. $50, look, you know, as I've said before, right, this is the thing with what's going on with the market. We're in a bit of a weird place right now. Okay. So let's really just break this down. So obviously we was in the middle of a bull run where we saw XRP going up to like $3 plus and everything was looking great, right? And we've obviously now got into a bit of a difficult situation right now because we are literally in the middle of a black swan event, right? Like the whole tariff situation, this is not something that was on the cards originally. Obviously, it's come from out of the blue. And so we're kind of in a bit of a shake-up right now, and we don't know where things are going to go. Now, in my head, I'd like to think that things will work out for the better in the end. You know, I think logically that's where this will end up going because the alternative is very bad economically. So I would like to think that it will all get sorted out in the end for the positive. But look, we don't know what's going to happen here. We really don't. And this is why when this first happened, I said to you guys just open and honestly, like when we talk about things that can affect a bull run, we talk about like black swan events. This is definitely one of those, right? So while there's a lot of influencers out here saying that everything's fine, I'm not willing to say that, if I'll be honest with you. I do think eventually it will work out for the better. That's just what my hope and what my expectation would be. But I'm not going to say everything will be fine because I literally don't know. So I'm not going to sit here and just be like, you know, trying to lure you into a false sense of security. I have no idea. Like this could go full blown into a full trade war, global trade war, and you know we go into economic uncertainty for a good while now. You know, that's a very real possibility. And so when I look at these targets, I want to say like this. I'm talking from the perspective of if the bull run is still in play, which I will be honest, a lot of analysts who I do still follow, etc. That's what they're saying, right? They're saying like everything's still fine, nothing's ruined yet, like we're still within the right chart structure, so nothing's been impacted yet to the point where the whole bull run is now off. So if that is correct, which obviously I hope it is, everything is still in play for the price to eventually have the, you know, the alt season rally, the blow off top, right? And so if we're talking about that still being in play, then in my opinion, like $20 for me, like, while I wasn't having that expectation for myself personally, I was definitely acknowledging that it was possible for this bull run, right? Now, $50 to me was getting to a bit more of the, okay, you know, that's a really big ask for this market cycle for $50. But the thing was, we had a lot of things going on, right, before the tariff situation that really was making things look so good for XRP. Like we had all these ETFs that were being filed. We had, you know, the resolution of the lawsuit. We've now recently had the news about Ripple buying, is it Hidden Road or Secret Road, something like that. They've brought this huge broker, which has been, that is a very big deal. I do not want to understate that. That is a massive thing. So there was a lot of things going on for Ripple and XRP that was very much to the positive. And, you know, I was saying like, maybe some of these targets that we were originally looking at as, you know, okay, that's looking at the high end. Maybe that's not so high end anymore. Maybe that's a lot more reasonable now. Maybe that's more, you know, achievable. And so for me, the way I was looking before the whole tariff thing came in, I was like, yeah, like maybe $50 is a lot more reasonable now. Again, I had no guarantee that this was going to happen. It was just more looking at everything that was going on and the fact that we was in a very positive look for crypto in terms of, you know, Donald Trump is a crypto president. He's, you know, sworn someone in who is also pro crypto, David Sachs. You know, they was looking to resolve the lawsuit. They're trying to get regulations done. Like, everything for crypto was just booming, right? So this is where like the frustration comes in, because like there's so much positive things going on for crypto, but then we've got these big macroeconomic events that are just overshadowing all the positive things that's going on for crypto. And so, yeah, like for me, I was looking at this from a very different perspective at the time and saying, well, maybe $50, you know, is a lot more reasonable, because the whole, you know, crypto space is going to be in a much better position now because we've got a pro crypto president. And so I was thinking that is a lot more possible for it to be achieved. Obviously, again, we don't know where we are with the tariff situation, so I've got no idea what this means right now. I'm still waiting to see how this all goes, like everybody else. But if this is the case and everything does get worked out and we get back to get back to business in terms of being in a bull run, then yeah, maybe that is a lot more reasonable that it could hit that now. And then we've got the $100. Now, look, I've said it before and I'll still say this again. For me, $100 in terms of this cycle, I think that's a very big ask. Like I was saying before, like before we had Trump come in, I was saying $50 is a big ask. To be honest with you, I'd say that was a big expectation for this market cycle. Even when I say now it could happen, I'm not saying it definitely will. So, you know, these was just things that I was thinking, are they achievable at this point, right? But for me, $100 this market cycle, I was just never thinking of that as a thing. That's my personal opinion. You'd be having to get way too much value into XRP to get it to those kind of numbers, and I just, you know, to do that in like one market cycle rally, I just think that's a big ask. You know, when we're going from like $3 up to $100, that's a lot, right? So I still stand on that personally. I think even if the bull run is in play, I think $100 is still too high in my opinion, even if everything goes great for XRP. You know, again, if I do look at $50 being achieved, like I'd still say it's not going to be going radically higher than that in my opinion. If it was going to hit those kind of numbers, I'd be saying that would probably be like the peaks kind of thing. But again, like I will make it clear, like I'm not a chart analyst or anything. So when I'm telling you these things, I am just kind of giving you my opinion. Like I'm not someone who can say, hey, like, you know, this is a guarantee, etc. And in all honesty, nobody can. So, you know, you might get these people out there who are talking like they know the future or like they have some inside information. Nobody knows where XRP is going. That's the truth. So a lot of these influencers who you see talking about these numbers and stuff, they're just doing this stuff for content. Like a lot of them don't really know, but they talk like they do. But yeah, like I'm going by what's plausible and what's realistic and going off of the research I've done, you know. So I am going by like data when I come to these conclusions. Obviously it doesn't guarantee I'm going to be right, but at least I'm coming with, you know, things to back up my reasoning, right? I'm not just kind of throwing numbers out there and going with that. So I'll never give you an actual price target in my opinion. Like I'll never give you like a target I think XRP is going to reach, because the truth is I don't know, right? And so I'm not here to try and deceive you guys or anything like that. Like I'll always just give you my opinion on what I think is plausible and what I think is unrealistic. But you know, I'll never just say XRP is going to hit this number, because anybody who does that is lying to you, because nobody knows for sure. So for me, $20, if I was saying like to be safe, right, I was looking at this market cycle and I was trying to be conservative. So I was hoping for, I'll tell you what I was hoping for. I was hoping for $10, right? Now that was me being conservative. I will be honest. Like I was thinking it could go higher, but I was just hoping for $10 because I was thinking even at the minimum, if I get that is still incredible money. You know, that will still be a great amount of money that I can, you know, do things with. But, when I was looking at like $20, like that to me was still like very much achievable, you know? So I was being conservative, but who knows? Like I did think that $20 could be on the cards. Now I weren't really thinking much higher than $20 in my opinion. That's just where I was like thinking, you know, hopefully, how things could play out. But you know, I really don't know for sure. As I say, if this bull run is still in play, $50, maybe that is a lot more achievable, you know, but for me, whenever you get to like $100, and we're talking this market cycle, I can't rock with that, to be honest with you. Now, look, this is why I said at the beginning, what's your time frame? Because if you start to say like, well, you know, this is in the next like 4 years, for example, well, we could be expecting a whole nother rally at that point, right? We could have a whole nother bull run at that point. And so do I think that it's possible that XRP could get to $100 in the next cycle? Well, maybe, because who knows where XRP will get to this cycle. So, let's just say XRP does get to $50 this cycle. Well, then is it possible that it could reach $100 in the next cycle? Yeah, I guess so. Again, depending on how things go, there's always things that can change stuff like this, right? Like it's one of those things that's constantly evolving. Like if we find out some bad news about Ripple and it's going out of business, or something really bad happens to the XRP ledger, then obviously that can just change everything. But if things are going the way it has been going, then yeah, I've got no reason to think they couldn't continue to grow and continue to succeed, and the value continues to increase in XRP. So yeah, I think it really does depend on certain factors, but I really do think that is possible also. I do think that is possible within like the next cycle, that it could hit $100 if things were going well. So there's a lot of factors that come into play when obviously we're discussing this. So this is why at the very beginning I said it really does depend on your time frame and where you're looking for this. But if you used to ask me in terms of this cycle, what do I think is realistic targets? $20 is 100% realistic. $50 is on the high end in my opinion, but as I say, things continue to go well. Then is it possible it could reach $50? Yeah, it is possible. For me, $100 is just out the question. And then if we start flipping it to a whole other cycle, well then, yeah, I think $100 could be on the cards. Maybe $100 doesn't come the next cycle either. Maybe it comes the cycle after that. Maybe. I don't know for sure. But I do think, like, if we're talking of giving it a bit more time, another 4 years, then could it reach $100 in another 4 years? Yeah, that's a lot more plausible at that point. There's a lot more room for XRP to grow, etc., more adoption, that kind of thing, more products being released, crypto on the whole being adopted a lot more. There's a lot more things that can come into play for it to reach those kind of numbers. But yeah, that's just my opinion on this. So obviously, guys, let me know what you think, because I'm interested to hear your opinions too. What would you be happy with? Let's just talk about this market cycle. Would you be happy with $20, $50, or $100? I mean, of course, we're all going to say we want $100, but let's just try and be a bit like realistic. Like, what would you genuinely be happy with? Like, if XRP hit $20, would you be happy with that? Or is in your head, you thinking, no, it has to be a minimum of like $40 or whatever? Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'd be interested to hear, because this is a fun little exercise. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell. Take care.